Hello ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and I wanted to make a quick video specifically on the Twins and how they performed at high MMR. Last night was an interesting night, as we went in there with Twins. I believe we went 3-2, and we were absolutely at high MMR. The two games we lost were insanely optimal teams with very, very good loopers and very, very gen efficient. Very efficient at the totem cleansing as well. I believe Ruin Undying died very, very early. We played some very good teams last night, okay? We went 3-2 overall with them, I believe is what we went. Every match had some decent players in it. Every team we played was above average. And I wanted to go into that just a little bit because of how good I think they are, and they're certainly the character I have at the highest MMR, so they had the most success with the actual system. Okay? So, in case you're new to the ball game, Rosie thinks Twins are S tier. I think these characters are very, very good. Now, that being said, 3-2, at first glance, doesn't scream S tier. Okay? It doesn't. 3-2 doesn't scream S tier. However, we have to look at it objectively. I think that Survive with Friends is still the strongest thing in the game with no counter. The first thing is, I mean that every killer, no matter who they are, when played 100% efficiently, will still lose to a perfect Survive with Friends. 4-man. It will still be a 4-man no matter who they are. Survive with Friends is absolutely the strongest thing in the game. Easy. So, a 3-2 record then, as soon as you analyze that, a 3-2 record doesn't sound as bad at high MMR. Additionally, one of the teams we lost, at one point we had a window to win, but we felt bad and hooked the guy. So we really, realistically could have beaten that first team we played at Grim Pantry. And, being pressed was a stressful situation, and I made many bad plays during both matches that we lost. My pounces with Victor were getting more aggressive, and we definitely could have hit a lot of the pounces that we missed. So that would have changed the game if we were slightly more accurate. It's just being pressed was a stressful situation because you don't really get pressed when you're good at killer in the current ranking system. It doesn't happen. You will always find a way to win because of how bad the survivors are. So being pressed was a new situation. I learned a bit more about how they kind of play late game. I learned a bit more about them, which is always good. I kind of learned how they want to be playing the gates just a little bit. That only happened one game where we really got some end-game pressure going with no gates. Because they were just being greedy for the 4-man. I mean, they could have left it and we still would have gotten a 2-man off of that end-game situation. But definitely learned a little something about being careful, and then about how quick you have to hit the pounces as well. A lot of times when we find a survivor that we can't really hit, we go for the extreme patience long game. If you do that and then you miss, you waste a lot of time. So that's something we're gonna have to. I need to start getting more accurate with Victor right away. But the thing about those plays, every pounce we missed, with the exception of like a few that were awkward at some pallets and windows, I still think most of the pounces were actually, again, very hittable, and I just need to adapt and get better. A lot of those tiles I need to play around and study. The log tile was one in particular. I don't know if Victor genuinely can't get over that or I was playing bad. And then some verticality issues, but you know, stuff we already knew. There's the very limited counterplay that Victor has. Also, a lot of people were slamming gens together as Twins, so I'm thinking of taking Undying out for Discordance, because Undying, it's still a good, decent perk, but at the high MMR, both totems just go down so fast and you're down 2 slots. With the amount of grouping that was done on the gens, I'm thinking maybe Discordance might be good, especially when Victor is a latch, because they will use that 30 seconds. They will use that 30 seconds that you have Victor. Now, they can't do anything, so if the only way that they're actually gaining progress on gens is if you chase the guy that's incapacitated. So I was thinking about swapping out for Discordance and maybe seeing if we could get some value out of that against some of these optimal teams. But overall, I learned a lot about playing them against good teams. I'm glad we had the experience. It was definitely like better than just going in and shrekking babies in 2.5 minutes. It definitely was. Now, would I like the game to receive some balance adjustments so that playing high MMR isn't as stressful? Yeah, absolutely. But Twins overall performed about as well as I expected them to. Against optimal teams, that you're going to get one. If you get a window to win, it's only going to be one. but that's all you need. And I feel like I really should have won that first game. But still, 3-2 definitely isn't bad, especially when I've never been pressed before and need to start adapting to those situations. So, felt good. I still think they're S tier. I still think they're placing that I think I hold them as so highly regard. I still think that's accurate, even with a performance I would have liked to have been better yesterday. I still think my opinion holds up because I myself as a player made a lot of mistakes. But that's okay. You win some, you lose some. Sometimes you just go in there and lose. There's nothing you can do. Everyone has bad games. That's what happens. So I'm going to hop back on and get on the grind here soon. GG's, lads.